Hey, how's it going? It is Wednesday, May 6th, and this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. Now, today we're going to get some coronavirus updates, also an update on the situation in China, and another member talks about the key points they like in this week's Sunday and Tuesday message. So, how is everyone doing? I'm sure you guys are having a wonderful week. It's already the middle of the week, and the great thing is we get the Wednesday service tonight. It's a wonderful Wednesday, and I'm just thankful for all of you joining us here on the Morning Star Drive. Now, just want to remind everyone, keep liking and commenting, and I want to hear from you guys and see how you're doing. And remember, this week's Sunday edition, I interviewed the singer-songwriter from New Zealand, Aiden Juestar Verity, so make sure to watch that interview. And next week, we'll be meeting an American Blessed Family father, YouTuber. It is Pastor David Baker. You may have seen him in Korea. He's like 6'3". I'm sure he's like 230. He's just this huge mammoth of a guy with a baby face. Got 3 children, amazing family. So just look forward to this interview. It was really spiritual. So many spiritual stories and amazing stories with the Lord. You guys got to watch that one, okay? So that's this Sunday at 2 p.m. So let's get into the featured artist of the day. The featured artist of the day is none other than the Sumney Boys. And we're going to hear a single called Waterfall Love. And we've heard that title before too, but I guess they've redone it. And this is coming from the mini album called Forever. Not Forever as an eternity, but the 4 is actually the number 4. And they were in a production, and they made these songs for this production. And they did it through dance, through song, and even through modeling. And this Forever is basically talking about 4 elements of the earth, and they're representing different parts of spirituality. For instance, they have the 4 elements of water, fire, air, and earth. And what do they symbolize? Water is love, fire is the word, air is purity, and the earth is harmony and God's creation. So the story behind Waterfall Love, it's a song that is based on Sunseam's actual song, Waterfall Love. And they basically wanted to create a song telling the Lord that their waterfall love won't stop and that it'll be endless. And they even use some lyrics from the actual song. The second song today is going to be from the Paper Music Associates. They are a private music label, and it's a new singer we haven't heard before. His name is Taeyong, and he has a ballad, like a super ballad. It's really good. And this ballad is called The Black Wall. Interesting. And if you listen to this, it's in Korean, but it really sounds like a song you'd hear in a Korean drama. It's that good. And he's a great singer. He sings so high. So everyone, just sit back, relax, and enjoy these 2 songs.
If this love breaks, then everything shatters. But I won't get it to that point, so it doesn't matter. I pray my love will never fail and my ashes make you smile. You're the reason why I'm singing all about you. This waterfall, love is pouring out. It keeps flowing, never running out. Hey, turn on the nitrous to ignite this. Let me write this love on a letter. I let them know. This love got me pushing my weight up. I got it impressed, so I stay up. The drip is impressive, I'm way up. My love is unchanging, I'm next up. My love is like a waterfall, it's endless. My love is like a waterfall, it's endless. Oh, you are one, and it's you and me. Oh, you are one, and it's you and me. I poured out my love endlessly like a waterfall, so this waterfall love won't become dry, no. It won't change, no. I won't let you go. You're the only one I want now, so close. When you put your heart determines where you go. It's just a matter how you said it. Wanna let you know that it's only set on you. For it to come true, I can never put you second long as I'm with you. My love is like a waterfall, it's endless. My love is like a waterfall, it's endless. Oh, you are one, and it's you and me. Oh, you are one, and it's you and me. I poured out my love endlessly like a waterfall, so this waterfall love won't become dry. My love is like a waterfall and endless. My love is like a waterfall and endless. Oh, you are one, and it's you I need. Oh, you are one, and it's you I need. Ooh.
가까이 가고 싶지만 머리는 가까워져도 발에선 안 돼 몸이 가까워짐도 견디기에 아픔이 서글프다 손으로 더듬어 길을 찾는데 없을 길을 찾는 끊이지 않는 두려움이 내게 아무 말 없이 오고 있다 보이지 않는 것에 믿음과 말로 영원을 향해 간다 그녀의 숨결 스친 않은 척에 벽의 건너편 속을 보인다 손 내밀지 않고 나의 마음을 그대의 곁으로 지켜온 나의 사랑을 바라지 않는다 머지않아 본다 해도 힘이 우린 보고 있죠 바라지 않고서 눈물 없이 참아왔는데 보지 않는 사랑을 다시 알게 된다 보이지 않는 것에 믿음과 말로 영원을 향해 간다 그녀의 숨결 스친 않은 적에 벽의 건너편 속 그가 보인다 손 내밀지 않고 나의 마음을 그대의 곁에
And that is The Black Wall from Taeyong. And that is from the Paper Music Associates. I hope you guys really enjoyed that song. Tell me that sounded like a song from a Korean drama. It was and this guy is such a good singer. He sings so high, I couldn't believe it. And also that first song was from our featured artist of the day, which is the Sumney Boys, and from the album Forever. The single was Forever. And I hope you guys enjoyed that song too. And that brings us into the time for coronavirus updates. So in the world at the moment, there's about 3.7 million cases with about 253,000 deaths. The U.S., once again, is taking about a third of the cases at 1.2 million. And they have kind of reached another milestone. They've reached 70,000 deaths. Some interesting stat came out. Well, the experts are saying that in June, they might be getting up to 3,000 people dying per day. That's what they said. And we're not sure because the experts have been wrong the entire time. Like in America, like we're going to have 2.4 million. Well, maybe not. Maybe 100,000. No, maybe 60,000. And we're already at 70,000 now. So, it's really hard to say because we just don't have enough information. But the one thing we do want to know is like comparatively per capita, the U.S. is only at 5.76% for the mortality rate, which is way lower than Belgium. And Belgium, Belgium, Italy, France, UK, Spain, they're all like 10 to 15%. And of course, Belgium's the highest in the world at 15.78. So if you look at it, the US is not doing too bad. At 5.76%. It's just they've got a much bigger population. The UK, they're in second. They have the second most deaths in the world for a country. Well, if you exclude China and Russia, but they have 190,000 cases with 29,000 deaths. France is at 170,000 cases with 25,000 deaths. Russia slowly inching up, closing in on France with cases with 155,000. They say they only have 1,500 deaths, but who knows, right? Brazil has cracked the 100,000 case mark. They're 108,000 with 7,300 deaths. And of course, like I said before, Belgium, 50,000 cases with 8,000 deaths at 15.78%. And if you look kind of in Southeast Asia where I am, it's not too bad. Like I'm just if I go just by mortality rates, the highest is Indonesia with 7.22%, which is not bad at all, as the highest in all Southeast Asia. It's probably because it's really humid and hot here. Like I'm in Malaysia and it's 1.66% mortality rate. You go to Singapore, Singapore's 0.09%. So they're like they're a tenth of a percentage, right? Indonesia's at 3.38%. India's at 3.38% mortality rate, and the Philippines is in second with 6.58%. But it's not too bad, right? So if we're looking at the largest increase in cases in the world at the moment, it's the U.S. They got like 25,000 cases the other day, while Russia is second with about 11,000, and Brazil is next with like 7,000. Then everyone else is under 4,000, like even the UK, India, and Ecuador. But the interesting thing is, if we look at percentage-wise, even though the U.S. has the most, they only have a 2% increase. While Russia has 10,000, 11,000, and it's an 8%. So if you look at all the other countries like Russia, Brazil, India, Ecuador, they're all pushing 7 to 9% increases, while America and the UK are both at 2%. So it's not as high as we think. So I hope that gives you kind of an idea what's going on in the world right now. And of course, you're like these numbers, if you check them right when you're listening to this and you check them, they're obviously going to change like crazy because numbers are constantly being reported. We're in a different time zone here, so we're halfway around the world. So America is still reporting their cases too. So by the time you guys hear it, the number is probably going to go up along that line. So let's take a little update into what's happening in China. This is kind of very interesting. In China, there's a place in northern China called Harbin. And interestingly, everything's shut down again in northern China. Restaurants are closed, and they said the outbreak is out of control. So there's already cases of community spread, and it's increasing. So that's something that's pretty crazy over there. Also, in Beijing, Beijing, they said there's not that many cases, but at the moment the parks are about half full. Visitors are wearing masks and they're being checked, temperatures being checked. Even in Beijing right now, they're still prioritizing prevention and washing their hands, social distancing, airing rooms out, and not gathering in large groups. But something interesting happening in Hubei. Hubei is where, that's where Wuhan is, right? That province. And there's protests going on. I saw some of the videos. It's pretty nuts over there. What's happening is people want to leave Hubei, but they're closing the borders. So I saw this video of there's this bridge that you can leave by car out of Hubei into another province. Police are stopping them. So what I saw on TV was pretty crazy because it was like people, like they're fighting the police, breaking the car, like the car windows of the police car windows. They're turning police cars, trucks, and vans over. And the police can't do anything because there's so many of them. So the riot police came in to restore order. And this is on the bridge. It's just packed. People are screaming and protesting because they want to leave, but the government won't let them. So that's what's going on in China right now. There's a lot of unrest. What's a little bit more interesting is they have something called a Five Eyes dossier that's been leaked out in Australia, and it's not only just reported in Australia, it's reported in Australia and America. And what the Five Eyes dossier is, it's basically U.S. and its allies, 5 countries together, and they're all coming together to uncover the things in China. So they're all working together with their intel. And I believe the 5 countries is UK, Australia, the U.S., Canada, and New Zealand. It's the 5 Western countries. And it's basically all of them are working together, and it's a big dossier talking about how China hid or destroyed evidence of the pandemic. And the interesting thing is, even when Trump was talking about it, President Trump basically was saying it is more likely now that the Wuhan virus came out of a lab. Like, that's how they're much more sure about this now. And it's not saying it's man-made, but it came out of a lab that was studying these types of diseases. And it, there's probably something that happened where it leaked out. So I was watching an interview with the former chief of staff, Fred Fleitz. And he's basically saying that the allies in the U.S. are agreeing with this report more and more as more information comes in. And like I said, it's the 5 countries. That's why they call it the Five Eyes dossier. And there's nothing new in the dossier that we haven't heard before, but it's being like more and more confirmed. So the things that we thought were like, total conspiracy theory, it's actually coming out that it's most like very high probability it came out of the lab in Wuhan. So right now, Fred Fleitz, the former chief of staff for the White House, was saying that there's growing international consensus that China completely mishandled the situation. And, more and more you hear about China retaliating against whistleblowers and the doctors who try to tell everyone about it. They were lying about human-to-human transmissions. And it's crazy because in January 2020, they shut down Wuhan, but they were getting mad at everyone else for shutting down their flights. And basically, they were allowing this virus to seed itself around the world. And because of that, the former chief of staff was saying there is going to be devastating repercussions in China, especially political and economically. So many people are now holding the Chinese government accountable, but the discussion was, how can you hold them accountable? Because they're a different country. So, and most likely people don't want to destroy relations with China, but the evidence is so overwhelming of China's misconduct that they are thinking about allowing states and countries to sue China. But in order to get, this is the thing. If China wants to cooperate, there's only one way, and they're going to have to get a big, an investigation, international investigation happen in China. And especially with this dangerous biological research. And later on, there's going to be more information about what the dossier says and how much proof there is. But now, another question was asked is, a lot of people were asking, was it good for President Trump to withhold the funds to the WHO? And they say it's actually working. Because now the WHO is asking for an international investigation of China. So it seems like they are being swayed now by this thing. So it's quite interesting what is happening in China as more and more information comes out. And like we talked about this a little bit before, that this totally sounded like a conspiracy theory, right? It totally did. And now it sounds like this conspiracy theory is actually right, that it came out of a lab, which I never thought in my life that this was like a true or real report. But now the evidence is very, very high now that it did come from this research lab that was studying, dangerous biological diseases. So it's quite interesting what is happening right now, what is developing at this moment. Okay. So let's move into something really cool and nice for all of us. And of course, that is we want to have a time of praise. So the two songs I chose for today's praise is My Bride and Life of Miniaturizing and Maximizing. All right. So everyone get yourselves ready and let us praise these two songs. So get yourself ready to praise.
At the start, people live only in a small way. As they grow, people live on a broader scale. Life goes on, both on a smaller scale and on a larger scale. Magnified, miniaturized, life exists, it's amazing. majestic, beautiful, mysterious. It's become God's history of love. On the earth, in heaven too, this history of love will grow. It will last forever. On the earth, in heaven too, this history of love will grow. It will last forever. It will last forever.
And that was Life of Miniaturization and Magnifying. And of course, before that, the song was My Bride. And I hope you guys enjoyed those two things. All right, so let's get into another portion that we're going to talk about this week's word. And I got also some more key points from other people that really enjoyed this week's message. And yesterday was from Lilia in Germany. And today from Malaysia, it is Pastor Arby. And there's 2 points that she really liked, and she's talking about the Tuesday pre-dawn. And at the Tuesday pre-dawn, there's one sentence that really moved her, and I looked at it and I was like thinking about this too, and it's, you have to follow those who are studying and making effort, or else you will fall behind and live like a primitive. Okay, so this is interesting, and the points she was making is, you have to listen and see Sunseem's life. He's constantly studying and making himself and putting in so much effort until he became who he is today. So as we are following what is taught by him, we are living a life becoming counterparts of the love to God, right? Because we're doing exactly the same thing he does. So when we follow him, we end up in the same place. And if we don't get to, if we never meet him, if we never meet Sunseem, then we're probably going to be living a pitiful life, worshiping idols in traditional ways, and in a sense, when it comes spiritually, we'd be living like spiritual primitives, like people who don't even believe in the proper God or live the life in a proper way. And I was thinking about this too also, because it's like, yeah, it's so true, because even when you look at the world, you have to follow the people that are way ahead, or else you're going to be living as primitives. Like, in the beginning, I believe it was Nokia. Who was the first one? I remember I actually had one of the first smartphones. And I don't even remember what the company was, because they don't exist anymore, because everyone's doing it so much better than them. But if you look at every aspect of life, technology, science, sports, everything, you have to follow those that are always ahead, like the Apples, the Amazons, the Googles, the scientists. For me, I play basketball. That was one of my favorite sports. And there's like these legendary people that completely changed the game. And it was like the Michael Jordans, and nowadays it's LeBron James. This guy is like 35 years old, and he's like still one of like probably the top 2 best players in the league. And they say the one thing that he changed was he changed the way how all basketball players take care of their bodies. And they were talking to him about how much money he spends on his body in a year. Just to keep his body healthy, he spends $1.5 million, and that's just for his body. It's the food he eats, the personal trainers, like everything. And they said that he never stops working, never stops running, never stops taking care of his body. $1.5 million a year just on his body, taking care of himself. But this is why he's like doing 13, 14 seasons. And he's always, because of him, he's always on the best team. And they say he has changed the way everyone is taking care of their bodies, so that now everyone can last longer in the league. So, and this is like, there's a lot of these, what you call revolutionary players that completely changed the game. But the thing I realized was, we have to be the ones that have to get to the front, where people start following you. Now, what does that mean? What I mean is, we have to be the ones that are at the top of your field and top of your profession. Now, I don't think God made us so that we would just be average in our jobs and just everyone lives like a super spiritual life at church. It's not the way it's supposed to be. We're supposed to branch out and reach out to every level of the world, right? Which means we need great engineers. We need great designers. We need great baristas, cafe owners. We need great CEOs. We need all these great people. Because when you reach the top, this is when people respect you. And then you see like probably someone at the top of their profession and they are the best of the best. And then they find out you're in Providence. What are they going to do? They're not going to look down. They're going to say, wow. Even these people are in this church. This church must not have been what I thought. And I've seen this happen. Like Tom Cruise, the Scientology. People think it's weird, but it wasn't as weird when Tom Cruise was there. When I was growing up, there was a football player, famous. He was MVP of the Super Bowl for the National Football League, American football. And his name was Steve Young. And he's a Mormon. And people just talked highly of him. And because he was such the best player, plus a champion, plus a great person, no one said anything bad about the Mormon church because he was in it. So I really believe when I read this, it's so true. If you don't follow the people at the top, you're going to live as a primitive, which means like cell phones. Imagine still using a flip phone while everyone has a smartphone. Or think about this, because 5G is coming out. Imagine everyone's on 5G and you're on 2G. That's primitive. That's totally primitive. The next point that Pastor Arby brought up was this came out of the message. It said, as a result of studying, all the central figures realized it's all about being with God. And, it's the same with Sunstein too. He realized this. And in this time period, he realized that the number one thing is to be with God. And this is why, even though Satan and demons try to stop him all the time, he still enters the spiritual realm to meet God and Jesus. He still does. Even though Satan and demons are trying to stop him all the time. He had that mentality of no matter what. That kind of love that was no matter what. And in the end, what happens? God and Jesus appear to him directly and start teaching him. Directly, right? Because he overcame. And the realization is that the only way is to love God and Jesus to obtain victory and defeat Satan. And it's good. It's a good realization because in the same way it's us too. Just follow what he did. As long as you love God and the Lord, no matter how much Satan is trying to interrupt you from praying or listening to the word, you have to protect yourself to listen to the word during service. You have to protect yourself when you're praying. And even when you pray at home during that time, that set prayer time, you got to do it. Don't let Satan distract you from doing the prayer we're supposed to do. When that time is to come to do the midday prayer, don't let Satan come in and distract you. And you have so much time. Don't let him distract you. Protect yourself. Now is a time that God and the Lord are visiting us directly every day in every prayer. So I hope, this is really something that's important for all of us. And if you think about it, we all have the secret to success. Right? We do. We learn it every single week. And the interesting thing is, I think, this is what I feel is, the big thing God's going to ask us every day and every week is, did you do what I said or not? And that would be the key thing. It won't even be, were you successful or not? Because I really believe in God's eyes, being successful is dependent upon whether we did what God said or not. Like that is the determination of whether we're successful or not in God's eyes. And I really think that we have to be the ones, especially this week, whatever you're doing, whatever missions you have, like for me here in internet ministry, just about a couple of hours ago, we had the Lockdown Tuesday. Yeah, we have to study and make it more. Like I'll give this interesting testimony before we go into the song of the day. Is today I was preparing for the Lockdown Tuesday, and the story was about the Samaritan woman. And I was thinking about it and praying about it, thinking, oh God, what should I talk about? What should I talk about? What should I talk about? But in the end, I only got this one inspiration. And it's usually not the way we do these Lockdown Tuesdays, but today felt more like a introduction to start doing Bible study. And to be honest, I wasn't even feeling it. And after I did the lecture, after I did the talk, I went upstairs to take a shower, and I was like, God, I don't really feel good about it. And the inspiration he gave me was, he said, it's not about you, right? You're not the one doing the work. I'm doing the work. So I was like, oh, really? And I thought to myself, what does that mean? And then what happened was last night, someone texted and say, hey, right after the talk, 2 people said they wanted to do Bible study. One wants to do Bible study in a group. One wants to do one-on-one Bible study right away. They want to get to know God. So for me, I was like, oh, that's so crazy. Like, and now it's like, oh, that's why God wanted this message. And I really believe that this is something that we have to do all the time is, how do I know that this is not me? Because even when I feel I didn't do it, like I didn't feel it and I didn't think it was that good, but it's God working. And 2 people now are connected to the word now. And I think we really have to realize more and more this is God working, and we're allowing God to work through us. All right. So that brings us to the choice, the song choice of the day. And the song I chose today, well, actually I didn't choose it. This is requested from Yongmin in Malaysia. And she says, I want to request a song for the Holy Spirit. And it is a song from Benny King, originally from Benny King. And the song is, everyone my generation knows this song. It's Stand By Me. Right? You know that song? When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon. You know that song, right? But we're going to listen to a cover today. And the cover today is by MTL, or it's Music Travel Love. And I'm not sure if you've heard of this music band before. They're called the Moffats. And they're now doing this. And the 2 brothers, Clint and Bob Moffat, are going to be the singers. And they just travel around the world and they record. And this song, well, you can't even see the video, but they're recording this song literally at the Lake Powell. And when you hear the beginning of the song, you're going to hear like water and stuff in the background. It's real water. They're actually filming, they're recording this music right in front of the water. It's really amazing. So let's listen to this song, Stand By Me, requested by Yongmin from Malaysia, and it is a song for the Holy Spirit.
One, two, three, four. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, stand by me. Oh, won't you stand by me? Just as long as you stand by me. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, and the mountains should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, stand by me. Oh, won't you stand by me? Just as long as you stand by me. Whenever you're in trouble, won't you stand by me? Oh, won't you stand by me? Just as long as you stand by me. Oh, darling, just as long as you stand by me.
And that is MTL, Music Travel Love, and they recorded this song from Benny King, "Stand by Me" at Lake Powell. I'll leave the address. I'll put the link on in the description so you guys can see it. It's a really an amazing video, but these guys are super talented. So that moves us on to one of our favorite sections of the day, of course, and this is when it comes to testimonies by members. And today's testimony, I'm going to tell you, is crazy. It's so good. And today's testimony is coming all the way from Singapore, and it's the church leader over there. His name is Johnson or Victor. And when you hear this story, yeah, it's so good. Okay, so everyone listen carefully, and yeah, when you just listen to this, it's really amazing. So let's listen to his story. So when I was born with a valve problem in my heart. And when I was 3 years old, I had an operation on my heart and they replaced the valve. And because of this, I was exempted from all physical activities in school, and I didn't even go to the army. But I really blamed God in the beginning because I didn't know why it was happening to me. I really thought it was unfair. Life was so uncomfortable. I can't do sports. I can't do the things I want. And on top of it, the medical fees are so expensive. And every year when I do checkups, there's so many tests I have to do because of my heart. I always wondered to myself why I was born like this. Everyone else is so healthy, my brothers and sisters, but why me? So trying to find this answer, I started to think a lot about God. I went through school and I studied music, and I graduated university, and I wanted to pursue a music career. But when I got my heart checked out again, they said that my body outgrew my heart valve. So they said they had to change the valve again. This valve was supposed to last 20 years, but because my body outgrew it, they said they had to get an operation right away. So why did God want to destroy my dreams to become a musician? And at this point, I began to resent God even more. And I got to a point when I was so sad, and I just wanted to give up on life because I couldn't even do music, the thing I really wanted to do. So at that time, I was in Providence, and I wrote a letter to Sunstein, and I said, Sunstein, this is my situation. And he told me, drink the medicinal water and don't worry. So I was in Korea, and I went to go drink, and I drank the medicinal water, and then I went back home to Singapore. And then I went to another doctor to get a second opinion. And that doctor said, no, you don't need an operation. But I really wasn't sure about this, so I went back to the original surgeon just to double check. And he looked at it and he said, wow, it's okay. You're healthy. So I skipped this operation the first time. And they said, yeah, maybe not for another few years. So a few years later, the doctor says, okay, I think it's time for the operation. And at that time, I first went to Korea, and then I met Sunstein. I got prayer. So he prayed for me so that I can, be healed. I came back to Singapore again. And then once again, no need for an operation. And the crazier part was, even my parents were so stunned. And my mom, she's been Buddhist all her life. And she started to believe in God because of it. And my father was an atheist, right? And he avoids the topic of God. But when he went to the hospital, the doctor started testifying, and he said that only God can save your child. My dad's not very happy to hear about religion, but he had no choice because it was the doctor. But the doctor testified so well, and he said it's a miracle and that God saved him, and he would have died. So he told him to pray. And this is when my father started to change his mind about religion and God. You see, I realized at this point, this is really a blessing from God. Because if it didn't happen this way, my mother and father wouldn't believe in God. Now that I can't pursue music, but now I can run for church full time. But even when I think about it, the joy I receive from running full time is so much better and more intense than when I was a musician. And I realized, being a musician, it wasn't God's will. But He wanted me to do bigger work. He wanted me to run full time so I can do even more for Him. Now that my health issue is solved, my parents, they don't even persecute me even though I run full time. And they give me even more freedom because of my condition. There's another amazing miracle that happened when I was a child. Like I said, I was born with a heart problem. And when I need to get that surgery done, that operation, there was only one doctor in Singapore that could operate such a rare case. And when I needed it, this doctor just came back from Scotland. And he's the only one that could do the operation at the right time. You see, if he didn't come, I'd have to go outside the country, it'd be so much more expensive. And even to this day, that doctor still talks to me and gives me advice. I really feel and I realize that this health issue is a blessing in disguise. It was really difficult in the beginning, but as I entrusted it to God and I worked on my faith, then miracles happen. Miracles happen when you entrust it to the Lord. And we really don't know what's going to happen until we do it until the end. Amen. Wow, tell me that is a powerful testimony. Oh my gosh. He had heart surgery and they put like an animal valve in him and they have to replace it again, and once drinking the medicinal water and then twice getting prayed for. So I really hope that, if you think about it, this is very similar to yesterday's theme of parents being evangelized. What's it worth for your parents to be evangelized? And when you realize, if this didn't happen this way, my parents wouldn't be able to believe in God. And that is worth it. Amen. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's story. For me, the story is super, super inspiring. And I hope that you guys will also be able to send in your stories to inspire more people also. So what does that mean? Oops. Well, the song is coming back on, which means we are at the end of today's podcast. This is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Wednesday, May 6th, and we hope that you had an amazing time together with us, because we had an amazing time too. And we want to see you again tomorrow on Thursday. Everyone have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday service.
Cause no one else will.
You, the people, have the power to make this life free of